Scorpio, listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to say will land exactly where your soul has been restless. Someone you cannot fully see yet, a hidden enemy working in the background, is about to be stopped faster and more unexpectedly than they ever imagined. And the very energy they sent against you is turning back toward them like a boomerang of cosmic justice. You didn't stumble on this message for entertainment or curiosity. Your spirit pulled it in like a magnet, because a part of you already knows something has been moving behind the scenes, something off in the energy, something that didn't match the words, the smile, or the role this person plays in your life or in your wider circle. Before we go any deeper, take a slow breath with me, in through your nose and out through your chest, as if the air is moving straight through your heart. Feel that low, steady hum under your ribs? That's not anxiety. That's your intuition saying, I knew it. You felt the subtle tension in certain rooms, the sudden drop in your mood after talking to specific people, the way your plans seem to stall right after you share them with a small handful of faces. This is not your imagination. That is your scorpionic radar, the one that can feel an energy shift before a single word is spoken. You are ruled by Pluto and Mars, the planets of depth, truth, and power. You weren't built to skim the surface. You were designed to sniff out what hides beneath it. And lately, that sense has been on high alert, like your spirit has been pacing at the edge of something it can't quite name yet. If any part of you is already nodding quietly, if your body has been keeping score while your mind tried to stay rational, let that be your first confirmation. And as a small act of agreement with your own intuition, with the part of you that knows, gently tap the like button right now and whisper to yourself, I am ready to see the truth and I am protected while I see it. This isn't superstition. It's a symbolic way of saying to the universe, I'm not running from clarity anymore. Hidden enemies rarely look like villains. They don't always come with obvious malice or open conflict. Often they wear familiarity, politeness, even concern. They may sit at the same table, smile at your victories, send you encouraging words, and still hold a quiet resentment each time you rise a little higher, heal a little more, or step closer to the life they secretly wish they had the courage to claim. Their problem isn't really you, Scorpio. Their problem is what you mirror back to them. Your ability to transform, to crawl out of ashes and return with more wisdom than before, confronts everything in them that refuses to change. Where you turn pain into depth, they turn pain into bitterness. Where you transmute rejection into spiritual fuel, they turn rejection into envy. And in the language of energy, envy is not just a feeling, it is a slow, dense fog that tries to cling to your aura, to make you question your worth, your path, your progress. That's why you may have felt random waves of sadness, unexplained fatigue, or a sudden sense that you should pull back your energy without knowing exactly why. Your higher self has been quietly pulling you out of the line of fire, even while the human part of you kept trying to give this person the benefit of the doubt. But here's where the story bends. Whatever games, gossip, spiritual interference, or subtle sabotage has been directed at you is coming to an abrupt halt, not because you go after them, but because there is only so long a soul can move against truth without tripping over their own shadow. Spiritually, this looks like a cosmic investigation starting to unfold. Practically, it may show up as small but undeniable shifts. Someone accidentally exposing their own lies, an unexpected message revealing what was said behind your back, a sudden change in group dynamics, a plan they had that falls apart spectacularly, or a door they thought was secure suddenly slamming shut on them. You may hear something by coincidence, stumble upon information you were never meant to see, or notice that a person who once seemed protected in their behavior is suddenly facing consequences, restriction, or isolation. You don't have to force any of this. That's the power of this moment. The energy that was being used to block, drain, or distort you is being rerouted into exposure. The hidden enemy is being stopped, Not by drama, not by shouting, but by the weight of their own choices finally catching up with them. Scorpio, you have walked through some dark chapters where you felt misunderstood, scapegoated, or silently targeted. Maybe there were seasons where you were blamed for things that weren't your fault, painted as too intense, too suspicious, or too much, when all you were doing was reacting to a truth no one else was brave enough to admit. You may have walked away from situations with less money, fewer allies, or with a reputation that didn't fully reflect who you are, simply because you refused to expose others, choosing instead to rebuild in silence. Your silence was not weakness. It was a spiritual strategy. While you chose healing over revenge, the universe took note. While you chose to go inward instead of lashing out, your spirit team began rearranging things on your behalf. And now in this season, that quiet rearrangement is becoming visible. The enemy that moved in shadows is walking into a light they cannot control. They may experience this as a sudden block in their plans, a legal issue, a public embarrassment, a financial complication, a breakup, or a dramatic loss of support. To you, it may feel like watching puzzle pieces suddenly snap together. The weird comment from months ago, the strange timing of certain events, the way someone always appeared at the center of tension, even while pretending to be above it. None of this is for you to celebrate in a vengeful way. Scorpio may be the sign of vengeance in memes, but in truth, your highest power isn't revenge, it's rebirth. It's that quiet elevation that says, I don't need to destroy you. Life will teach you what you refuse to learn from love. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop absorbing energy that was never yours and watch what happens when it has nowhere else to go but back to its sender. As this hidden enemy is stopped, fast and unexpectedly, your role is not to gloat but to rise, to reclaim the energy that was being siphoned from you, to step into the opportunities that will begin to appear once this energetic blockage is removed. You may find that money starts flowing more smoothly, creative ideas return with fresh force, sleep becomes deeper, and your body finally exhales in ways it hasn't in years. The tension you thought was just how life is starts to ease, and you realize it was never just life. It was interference, and that interference is ending. So what do you do as this plays out? First, you ground. Put your hand on your chest right now and say softly, I am protected. I am guided. Whatever is removed from my life is clearing the way for what is meant for me. Let that sentence be your anchor. Second, you pull your energy back from spaces and people that leave you feeling smaller after every interaction. You don't need a dramatic announcement or an angry exit. Scorpio energy is powerful in quiet withdrawal. When you stop feeding the cord, it begins to thin on its own. Third, you begin to trust your first feeling again. Not the one your mind talks you out of, but the one that hits your body before a single excuse is formed. That pull in your stomach, that tightening in your jaw, that sudden boredom or irritation around someone whose energy used to feel neutral. These are not random moods. They are intelligence. Your psychic system has been online since birth. You are just learning to listen to it without guilt. Some of you will notice that as this hidden enemy is stopped, another presence steps forward, someone whose energy has always felt safe, but perhaps you overlooked them because their love wasn't loud or dramatic. This could be a loyal friend, a quiet relative, a co-worker, or even a new guide stepping into your life in physical or spiritual form. When one fake connection falls away, it often clears the space for a soul-level ally to enter. The contrast will be obvious. You won't feel drained after talking to them. You'll feel understood, seen, even when few words are spoken. This is how you know you're stepping out of spiritual warfare and into spiritual alignment. Scorpio, your story is not just about enemies and justice. It's about becoming the version of you that no longer offers your power to those who can't hold it with reverence. For years you may have tolerated crumbs of respect in the name of loyalty. You stayed in rooms where your spirit shrank because your heart remembered how someone used to be, or because you believed it was your duty to endure, to forgive endlessly, to overfunction. But this chapter is different. This chapter is about sacred self-respect. When the hidden enemy is stopped, the deeper invitation is not just see you were right, but now that you know how protected you are, will you finally choose environments that match your soul? This is your transformation, not external drama, but internal upgrading. A quiet shift where you start to see yourself the way your guides see you, as a soul too rare to keep throwing into fires that were never yours to put out. There's one more layer we need to touch gently. For some of you, the hidden enemy has not only been a person, but a pattern, a way you've spoken to yourself. A voice in your mind that repeated old insults, old doubts, old fears, until you believed that you were too much, too intense, undeserving of ease. As external enemies are stopped, that internal critic is also being brought into the light. The same spiritual law that exposes deception outside of you is also exposing deception within you. The lies you inherited about who you are, about how much love, money, rest, and safety you're allowed to have. So as things unravel around you, let illusions unravel inside you too. Let yourself say, I am allowed to be powerful without apologizing. I am allowed to be loved without being used. I am allowed to be protected without earning it through suffering. These sentences rewrite your field. They tell the universe you're no longer available for the old script. And the universe listens, especially to Scorpio, whose words carry the weight of spell work. Toward the end of this message, I want to place something very gently in your hands. A reminder that what you're hearing now is not a legal verdict, not a fixed decree, but a spiritual story, a mirror held up to your energy in this moment. This narrative is a mirror, a reflection of a potential timeline, a story whispered into the universe for those who are meant to hear it. This is a journey into one possible unfolding, a thought experiment for the soul wrapped in the language of astrology, intuition, and symbolism, not a guarantee of literal events. If this story resonates with you, Scorpio, if it awakens a dormant part of your intuition and makes you feel seen in a way you haven't felt for a long time, then take what you need from it. Hold on to the parts that feel true, that bring you peace, that empower you to make healthier choices and trust your inner voice more deeply. If it doesn't, let it drift past you like smoke in the night, because not every narrative is meant for every soul, and your free will, your decisions, and real-world discernment are always the most important guides. This is not a promise that a specific person will be punished. It is an invitation to recognize how powerful you are when you align with truth, protect your energy, and refuse to feed what harms you. The real power of this message isn't in predicting what happens to them. It's in reminding you what's happening in you. So, Scorpio, if your heart is saying yes, if some part of you feels like a knot has started to loosen just by hearing these words, I invite you to mark this moment in the comments with a declaration of your own rebirth. I am protected. Hidden enemies are removed. My path is clear. Let that sentence become a spell you cast over your own life. Not against anyone, but in favor of yourself. You are not here to live in fear. You are here to walk as the storm and the calm after it, to be the proof that nothing formed against a soul anchored in truth can truly prosper. The hidden enemy is being stopped. The interference is ending. The fog is lifting. And on the other side of this there is you, sharper, softer in the right places, clearer, and more aligned than ever before.